I mean, this episode of Sprue Review is about the decadence and perfection and excessiveness of the Emperor's Children, but I'm really feeling my hair right now. It's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Sprue review video. Yes, we are back once more with the remaining parts of the Emperor's Children. Yes, Games Workshop have been exceptionally kind once again and have sent me a copy of Fulgrim, Lucius the Eternal, a Lord Kakophonist, and the Flawless Blades. And they sent them to me early to build up, paint and review with all of you, and that is exactly what we are going to be doing over the next few days. So a massive thank you goes out to them for doing that, of course, because I really enjoyed the Emperor's Children the first time round in the army set, so I'm interested to see if the rest of the range really sticks the landing, as it were. Because this is the conclusion of all of the, I guess, brand new stuff for the Emperor's Children. There's a bunch of other stuff that already exists that you can build and paint for it. Stuff like Terminators, a Daemon Prince video on the way, I hope, very soon. Just got to paint the damn thing. But this is all of the new stuff that is coming. So it's interesting at this point because we get to then have the entire range of new kits with painting tutorials. You will be fully supported for the Emperor's Children new stuff. But of course it does also mean that we have these sprue reviews, which means the whole lot is reviewed for all times. So it's going to be interesting, this one, because it's a Primarch. It's a very fiddly, annoying Primarch to build and or paint because of the magic of cinema, of course. I'm already speaking to you from the future, where I reviewed it in the past. The future even after the painted part. Ooh. So given as I'm speaking to you from the future, it means that past Josh needs to have his say on the kits. But before he does that, I do have to ask you if you could please leave a like on the video and comment below whether or not you are excited for the rest of the Emperor's Children and indeed the Fulgrim. The Fulgrim? Yeah, okay, let's go with it. The Fulgrim. Please do all of that good stuff, and if you're not already, please do hit that subscribe button because we are tearing our way towards 100,000 this year. We're not far off it, really, but I can only get there with your help, and I really want to do it this year. So with everything on the YouTuber checklist ticked off, it is now time to jump into the meat and potatoes of this video. So let's check out Emperor's Children, Wave 2. Alright, let's get this show on the road, shall we? Starting with the Lord Kakophonist. It's our non-named generic character. And, well, I mean, we'll save Fulgrim till last, because he's the main event, of course. But Lord Kakophonist, here it is. The Noise Marine special character, basically. And we'll have a little look-see at the sprue. Let's see what's going on underneath the hood, shall we? There we go. Right. Ooh. No tray. Empty box. Goodbye, box. So inside we get ourselves the instruction manual, of course. We get one single sprue, which is not warped or bent in any way, shape or form, so that's good. And we get what looks to me like a 40mm round base. That makes sense, because it's a Space Marine character. Right, let's have a look inside here, shall we? There should be some optional extras in here, and yep, there they are. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 components on page 1, and then this is where the optional extras start appearing. We have the sonic pistol here, or the sonic blaster, or whatever it's called, I cannot remember. Or we have a power sword as well, including the arm, and then we have the other sonic blaster pistol thingamabobamajig. Yeah, okay. Then we have a couple of shoulder pads, optional heads here, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's only a couple of optional assemblies, choice of parts, So I guess the question is, do you want double pistol or do you want to have a power sword in the mix? Only you can decide, but we'll have a look at the rules when I come to make that decision. Anyway, here it is. Here is the sprue. The first of the first wave, I guess. Well, second wave of the Emperor's Children. So let's see if it sticks the landing, shall we? Okay, so first of all, the thing I'm noticing is the 3 things at the moment that we're already liking. We have the shoulder here, and we also have the cutting edge of the blade just there. Well, it's not connected on the cutting edge of the blade there. We've got a single connection on those shoulders, which is fantastic. They're nice and easy to clean up. That's not one of my hairs, I don't think. Well, I hope. Thanks for that little present from Games Workshop, maybe. So these are good. 1, 2, and 3 components, all in top notch. Good to see. We have one of the blaster pistols here. We have another one there, and I think there's another one. No, there is not. I'm imagining things. Oh no, there it is. 1, 2, and 3. Interesting. So they're all connected reasonably similarly. You've got one here on the shoulder, one here on the actual gun, and one here on the canister underneath. Same over here on the canister on the top there, on the underside of the grip, and then we have one on the top of the gun here on the canister, and one there just on the elbow, which is a little bit of a tricky place to deal with, but it's, you know, in fact it is right up against the apex of that elbow, so it's going to be a little bit tricky to get that nice and smooth. So watch out for component number 10. We have both the heads here and here where we're connected on the ear piece, basically, but it is a flat section, so that's okay. That's not the end of the world. Because it's flat, it just means you just got to kind of smooth it flat. It's not like on the little plug or thing that you sometimes have on the kind of the ears, the ear defenders. It's just flat like it was on the Noise Marine, so it's not the end of the world. At least it's not connected right on the top of the head. And this is the bare head, and this is the helmeted one just here. So pick your poison, but they're both connected in a similar way, so they're both pretty good. We have both parts of the backpack assembly here and here. We're connected actually reasonably decently. This is connected kind of in a place where this is going to kind of cover it up. Same on this side. This is right on the apex of the nose, however, on both sides of the kind of the leering faces of the side of the backpack. But at least we're not kind of like connected here or in here or anything like that, so it's not too bad around here. Similarly, I mean, this one we're just connected all the way around the outside, so it's not too bad. We've actually noticed that we've got quite strong mold line presence. You can see it already there on the leg of the main body just there, so that's not ideal. This means there's going to be a little bit more cleanup time when it comes to building your Lord Kakophonists or Cacophonisti. I'm not sure. The other part of the torso, we're connected on the 2 armpits and at the tabard on the side, so it's not overlapping. So this is okay, this piece. We like to see that sort of thing. And then we have the kind of the 2 legs here and here. This one's connected on the side of the greave. Is it a greave? I think it's a greave. Which is, you know, that's one of those kind of smooth areas that is kind of like prominent because it's, you know, either on a frontward facing or a front stepping or back stepping leg, but either way it's on kind of on, it looks like it's angled on the inside. Yeah, so it's not the end of the world if you don't get that 100% smooth, but it is one of those ones where, again, if you contrast paint this, you want to make sure you get that smooth, because otherwise you'll just be left with a little blemish as you go. The other leg though is connected on the underside of the foot, so that's pretty good. And then actually the last 2 things to look at are probably these cables and this leg, naturally, because it's the last 2 things on said sprue. And the cables are, you know, pretty decent. They're fairly chunky. Doesn't matter which order you're going to clip those in, since it don't feel or look particularly flimsy, so that's all good. It's just the mold line you're going to want to watch out for on those, because it's segmented. So if you don't get it, it will be this very prominent line all the way along, and it is the frontward facing cables, yeah, as you can see, going along here. So if you don't get the mold line on the outside of these cables, so that will be this part side and this side, it will be very prominent, so just make sure you get those off before you we do for assembly, as you would normally. And then otherwise we have this leg where we're connected on the inside here, where the actual leg is going to, the front part of the leg is going to slot into. On the underside of the bottle, which isn't too bad, and on the underside of the foot as well. So it's an okay sprue. It's not as good as the Lord Exultant. That was the one. But it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I like it. So, well, now we just have to see if I really like it by figuring out how long it takes to build. I went with double pistol in the end because gunslinging is always cool. So that's one down, 3 more to go. So our next victim will be Lucius the Eternal. Long awaited, I think, by many folks. So this is our first of the named characters, but it's the other single miniature that we've got to look at today. So makes sense to do Lucius next. So let's have a look. I don't anticipate there actually being too much in the way of any kind of customization in here, because he's a named character, so usually it's the way it is. So you're not going to see like an alternate helmet or something like that, but might be surprised and see what delights hide within. So here we go. 1 sprue, 150mm round base by the looks of things. Goodness me. Okay. This is a slightly warped sprue, as you can see. I don't know why this is the thing that keeps happening, but there you go. Slightly curved, but all right. And here is the instructions. So let's have a little look. This one's actually a booklet, not a fold out. So it goes. This is what I'm always confused about sometimes with Games Workshop instructions. Why are we starting at component 5, then 3, then 21? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but there we go. So 6, 4, 8, 7, and then we are going on to the next page where we've got a sort of double neck assembly and this kind of thing. There's a lot of fiddly parts here by the looks of things. Yes, component 15 over there. And then we go on to this page here. So components 1 and 2 are the base. Okay, fine. So it looks like it's 21 components in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yes, indeed it is. I can already tell that component 20 is going to be an issue. It's going to be irritating. You can just tell that. Okay, let's pop that to one side, shall we? And let's have a look at that sprue, shall we? Okay, here it is. Lucius the Eternal at long last. So, oh, I've never noticed that before. That is a very unfortunate Space Marine just there. Probably an Iron Hand, you know. Anyway, the lash is enormous, is what I'm noticing first of all. And is it the blade of the lair? That's connected right there on the cutting edge of the blade. This is supposed to be a fine master-crafted weapon, and yeah, there's a cutting edge right there on the cutting edge of the blade. That is a big no-no. We don't like that. It just makes it really difficult to make sure you get a nice smooth clip point and also a nice smoothing down with your knife or mold line remover. It's just not cool. But they've put spikes on the back side there, which I guess is why they've done that. I mean, they could have done it back here, where it's supposed to not be a cutting edge. But okay, well, it immediately loses a mark every time we see that. So there you have it. We have lots of spindly little details here. So we have, for example, this canister that goes on the back with this trailing cable. We have the basket hilt of the sword. We've got a connection point here and here. It's probably best to clip it just there first, and then there rather than here, because you don't want to put any pressure on that little joint there, which already looks like there's a little bit of pressure happening on it. Just straight out the sprue. We've got connection points around slightly weird places on the base. Actually, there's one here, that's a rock just there on the end. That is meant to be there. So the actual clip is right there, so kind of flat against the underside of the base. This one is then connected on the top of the rock, and then similarly here, because it's not kind of laid down flat, probably because of this spar here, which has been sculpted in rather than being a separate detail, which you then glue in here as well, which is an interesting choice, but there we go. The lash, we've already mentioned it. We're connected 1, 2, 3 and 4 times on the sprue, so we're going to have to be careful. We're going to move it in this kind of orientation to make sure that we're getting all 4 of those clip points, because this will be a really obvious one. It's the frontward part of the entire miniature, so it's very obvious and very, very prominent. So you want to make sure that you've got all of that down nice and smooth. Okay, interesting. It does seem that this spar here actually connects to the lash in some way, shape or form, but I can't quite figure out where it goes yet, because there doesn't seem to be a hole or anything as a guide track. But we'll find out in due course, I'm sure, as we're building the model. Okay, so the other part of the lash is here, where we're connected once and then twice and then 3 times and then 4 times again. So again, we're going to have to make sure we're being really careful and that we're getting all of those pieces smoothed down when we're doing it. And then we've got Lucius's tongue right here as well, where we're connected once just there, but it's a fiddly little piece, and that's going to be one of those ones that's very easy to lose. And because it's you're gluing in a tongue essentially into here, you're going to want to use a very small amount of glue, because if you use too much, it will splurt out all over the place and it will just kind of fill up all of the details, and you don't want that to happen. And it's quite a kind of craggy, awful face there, so you just want to watch out for that sort of thing happening. So just be careful in that regard. The shoulders were connected twice on the underside, at least, only on the underside of the shoulder, so that's not too bad. And then we have another piece of basing material just there. Yeah, we're connected here and here, so only to 2, and well, no, 3 as well. They are around the outside of the piece though, so that's all good. The head itself, where are we? Here we are. We're connected on the side of his head. Goodness me, this is not a very good sprue. Connected on the side of the head just means that there's a higher possibility of essentially like accidentally taking too much off and creating an unnatural shape within the head. It's really bad when it's on the top of the head up here, but when it's on the side of the head, it's really annoying, because it means that when you're smoothing it down, you might end up accidentally taking off an ear or something. So you just want to be careful with that, and just be very gentle with your knife or mold line remover when you're smoothing it down. But ultimately, it's not great placement. Oh dear, poor Lucius getting a bad sprue. I mean, it's not. No, it is a pretty bad sprue, because we've got lots and lots and lots of connection points all over the place on lots of miniatures. Like this leg here, for example, connected on the underside of the foot, but then there on the side in the leather as well. On the arm, we're connected on the shoulder, but also on the gauntlet just here as well. This leg we're connected twice, 1 and 2, and that's quite a congested little space right next to a little spike on that leg. Same over here, we're connected once, twice, 3 times on that leg, and the body we're connected once, twice and 3 times as well. It's just lots and lots of connection points, which are going to make cleaning this one up really tricky. We do have slight mold lines as well also going on here. We have a connection point on the cutting edge of the blade. The head isn't very well secured to the sprue. Overall, this is going to be a tricky one, and it's going to be very time consuming, and you're going to have to be really careful putting this one together. It looks like it's going to be an enormous model. It's overshadowed, of course, by Fulgrim, who is the centerpiece of the Emperor's Children, but it's not a great sprue, which is a bit unfortunate. But at least you'll only ever build one, I suppose. So, yeah, let's figure out how long it takes to build Lucius the Eternal. I hope it doesn't take an eternity. both our characters now built, it is time to move on to our, well, the only other new unit, which is the Flawless Blades. And as you can see there on the back, we've actually got a couple of different variations and options going on here. We've got some dual wielding, greatsword wielding, cool dudes. Lots of different things going on in this particular kit, which is awesome. So we'll have a look inside at the sprues and see how customizable this kit truly is. Let's have a look, shall we? There we go. Alright, so what do we have? What is in our box of delights? Well, many things. We have 1, 2, 3, technically 2 sprues. We have 3 what looks to be 40mm round bases. Oh, and a transfer sheet. I've never seen this transfer sheet before. Whoopah! I mean, it's pretty cool. It's pretty basic. That's pretty cool. Okay. Lots of different colours. We have gold, black and pink. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. I'm not sure if this is the same one that came in the army set, because I never got the one that came in the army set. Oh, I like the gold outline on that large one. This is cool for your rhinos and stuff, or land raiders. Really nice big logos. Awesome. Lovely. Well, never seen that before, but that's very cool. Alright, here it is. The instruction manual. To end all instruction manuals, one might believe. Okay, so... Ooh, starting right in the middle. Okay, so there's no... there's no lead in here. We're just going straight for what we can do. So, we have... Choose the variant you want to build. Here we go. So greatsword or dual wielding, just there. That's pretty cool. I don't think there's functionally any difference between the two. No, 2 and 2, and 1 is the pistol. So yeah, the loadouts are the same, as I recall from looking at the codex as well. So we build up our entirety of our first individual, and then we have our choice 14 and 15, 17 and 18. So you could, well, theoretically, with 2 boxes of these, you'll have plenty of different variation going on. We have 3 different heads that can be used, optional shoulders as well, and then we've got some grenade packs as well to put on should you so choose. There we go, and then we move on to the next one. The next one is the same deal. We build up the miniature and then we choose one of 3 variants here. Actually, was it the same over there? No, just 2 on that one. So 1, 2 and 3. We've got the, again, the great sword, dual wielding again, but slightly differently posed. That's cool. So that's 3 different variants. That's awesome, and it's the same deal. So here we go: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 1, 2, 3 different heads. Yep, we got some helmeted options in here. Just check that on the other one as well. Looks to be, yep, there's a helmeted option just there, so that's awesome, in case you were worried about that kind of thing. And we have more optional grenade packs. They look to be the same ones: 66, 67, 68 and 69 as well, fitting. 31 and 32, and we have optional in terms of the shoulders as well. There we go, cool. And then presumably we'll see the exact same thing over on page 3, or the next page, and we've got 3 different variants here once again. So we have this individual who's doing something to the sword, this one who's licking it, and this one with 2 different swords, which is radical. Okay, so it's fairly similar build experience all the way through by the looks of things. Lots of customization, lots of cool stuff to bear in mind, and this is a pretty sweet looking kit. So let's see if those sprues stick the landing, shall we? Let's pop that to one side, and we will start with the one that's on its own. This one just here. So there we go. Let's have a look, shall we? Okay, so first and foremost, we're seeing a lot of blades, and none of them have connection points on the cutting edge, which is cool. Not there, not there, not there, not there, and not there either. So the swords are all in good nick, which is awesome. We have some of these shoulders here, 1, 2, and we have another one here. That's a third, and we have another one there. So this one's actually the kind of trickiest one to deal with, because it's connected right in the kind of curvature of the bits that kind of, well, the frontward facing bits rather than the topward areas or the underside. So this one's going to be a little bit tricky. This one's okay, just because, was that a shoulder? Yeah, I'm pretty certain that is a shoulder. It's just a single connection point on the top there by the rim, so that's okay. But these two are the ideal positioning because it's on the underside of the shoulder. It's on a nice flat area, so that's that's the gold standard that we're kind of looking for. We have one of the heads over here as well. We're connected just there on the side of the neck seal. Yeah, so that's okay. It's not connected on the actual head, so great. So that'll be hidden when it's glued. We have one of the backpacks here. We're connected on nice and simple areas to access rather than up here on the dome part of the backpacks, which is great. Oh, we have two more of the heads here. Again, both connected on the neck seal, so that seems to be like a consistent thing. We have connection points on the underside of the foot, here on the side of the leg. Can't really avoid that, I suppose. And then this one, we're on the underside of the foot and on the back of the leg. That's better because, again, it's generally not, it's hidden from the front, so it's just kind of slightly easier to deal with. It's not a particularly high sensitive area. We have one of the kind of torsos here and here, which looks pretty cool to me. I wonder if this is a case of one model per sprue. It's kind of feeling that way to me. We've got both the legs here, those parts of the torso, the backpack, we have a gun holster, we have all the shoulders that you could possibly want. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. We'll have to see. But that's pretty cool if it is. The pieces, the weapons themselves, the actual swords and stuff, don't look to be kind of part locked. They don't look to be like kind of they don't have like kind of any of the pegs and stuff that you would kind of see on like the chest and stuff in order to kind of align the swords and things like that. So that does speak to even more customization being available for your flawless blades, which is really, really cool. And then we have another one, kind of the canisters with the long kind of cables. So you want to clip the cable first and then clip here. Don't want to clip there first because you'll put some stress on it here or indeed there, so you might snap it, so you don't want that to happen. But overall, that's a pretty cool looking sprue. Okay, I don't anticipate we're going to see much too different on the other one, so we'll just do them both at the same time. Here we go. And yeah, I mean, it does look to me to be a case of it is one model per sprue. We shall find out in due course, naturally, but like the numbers appear to be that way. So 15, 14, 17, 16, 19, these all seem to be fairly close in number. Similarly over here we have 62, 58, 61, 60, 69, all this good stuff. So yep, we have more of the swords, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 5. None of them have got a connection point on the cutting edges of the blade, which is fantastic. So this kit does indeed escape that dreaded fate. We have 1, 2, 3 and 4 of the shoulders. That looks like actually that's, I mean, there's 4 shoulders there. 2 of these are the sculpted Emperor's Children logo, so that would say to me that these are going to go over here. So not quite one model per sprue, but it's pretty close. And otherwise, it kind of looks like very similar stuff. Like the backpacks are connected in the same way. You can see here on that kind of spar there, and then on the underside, just like on the first sprue. And the same thing going on over here. These shoulders are in pretty good nick because we're all on the underside of the trim. We have more of the heads, 1 and 2 here and here. Do we have some more over here? Yep, we have 1 and 2 and 3 over here, and they're all connected in the same way at the neck seal, so that's great. That's fantastic. All the heads escape a dreaded fate as well. We have another shoulder down here. We're connected on the underside of the shoulder. This is looking pretty good. This is looking like the Emperor's Children I've come to know and love in terms of the building. We do have a loose tongue over here, so you want to watch out for that bit because you don't want to lose it. And that's for the guy who's licking his sword, because we all know that it works better when you lubricate the blade, of course. So yeah, there you go. Okay, look, I think this is kind of going to be like the Tormentors, the Infractors, the Noise Marines. It's pretty good. It's in good shape. Like I said, there was nothing here that was too surprising in terms of the rest into that first sprue we looked at least. We do have a loose arm here where we are connected, for just point this out on the bracer there, and the other arms seem to be kind of similar. We do have to watch out for things like the bear arms, because that's going to be kind of bare flesh, which we'll want to just be really careful around. Here and here are a great example. The gauntlets as well. Anything that's basically near an elbow, you just want to be really careful around. You don't want to apply too much pressure with your knife or mold line remover, because you don't want to gouge it. You don't want to lose that detail of the lovely muscle groupings. So that's one thing to just point out. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, this sound over here, this is a sword-wielding hand, and neither is this, and they're both connected on the shoulder, so go figure. We do have a little bit of a kind of average mold line set up here, so it shouldn't be too difficult to clean up, which is great. Yeah, okay, well, we're just going to have to see how long it takes to build these. I'm probably going to go for the great swords for my first set of flawless blades. Who knows what I'll do in the future. I might get some more. They're really good. I love the models, so we'll have to see. But for now, let's check out how long it takes to build the flawless blades. With our flawless blades all built, it is now time for the main event. Yes, Fulgrim, Emperor's Children, Primarch, Daemon Primarch of Slaanesh. There we go. There it is, on the back, as you can see. Got a couple of different options for the head already, but maybe there's more inside the box. We shall find out together in but a moment. So, let's see what delights are contained within, shall we? The box is now upside down. There we go. Ooh. There we go. Okay, it's going to be interesting. Instruction manual. Got it. Bingo. 2 sprues that are somewhat interlocked somehow. Okay. I can see where it is. Can you see where it is? Just there as well. Don't want to pull it too much in case it damages the sprue. But there we go. I guess we'll just have to be brave. There we go. Done it. Hit another thing on the way out. It's alright. Everything survived. We have the 2 sprues. Okay. Pop those to one side. And we have a massive round base. Who knows how big that is? 110 round? Maybe? Something like that? Okay, let's have a look, shall we? Alrighty. So, here is the instruction manual. And we have no optional assembly here. 130mm round base. My goodness, that's a big one. There we go. So there we go. No optionals here. Lots and lots and lots of components to build what is the snake tail. Even more over 2 pages. Here we go, getting us up to the torso, and then we will assemble that onto the base. It doesn't look like there's anything in the way of kind of tactical rocks or anything like that, which is interesting. So there you go. It might be worth just evaluating how difficult it will be to put texture paint inside the coiled snake before you get there. Sometimes that is going to be a slight tricky one when building it and assembling it to the base, but there we go. Then we have building up the entirety of the torso, still all on the same track until we get to here where we have our 5 different heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 5 different faces that go on here. That's interesting. There's a lot of different faces to have for one miniature. Is there anything else here that is optional? There is not. There is one thing that they're suggesting here is to paint it in sub-assemblies, which naturally we will not be doing because it doesn't look like it really needs it. But they are recommending that you have 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 5 sub-assemblies allegedly. And that's it. Okay. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Okay. Alright. Let's pop this to one side. Let's have a look at sprue number 1. Okay, so for something that's got so many pages, it should look like there's tons and tons of components here, but actually there isn't that many. The thing I think we're going to worry about the most with is the body, in terms of making sure that we don't have any gaps in the snake body, because there's so many components going into that. You can already see, like around here, that this body kind of does come in half. So one thing we're going to want to be really careful on is making sure that we kind of smooth things down together if we can. So like, let's say this component and this component goes together. We want to dry fit them together and then use our knife or mold line remover over the top at the same time to get a nice smooth kind of cover of that kind of what will be the gap, or make sure that we just use enough glue, or if you're so inclined, use some green stuff to gap fill it if it needs it. It might not. Might just be a really well put together kit, who can say. We do have, like, for example, on this component just here, you can see just along that little bit there is like a kind of seam, which will make sense if that's gonna be like the join between two pieces, which it should be. But if we're gonna have things like that, it means that if there's a slight bit of gapping, then that's okay just about, because it is supposed to make sense in the context of the miniature. It's if you had the body like this one here and it was in two halves down the middle, that if it was in the two halves down the middle, what you would want is you would want to make sure that you smooth it down right down the center like that, in order to make sure that you didn't have a gap across the front of Fulgrim's snake body. But it is impressive, these pieces, like for example the wings themselves being what looks to be in a single piece, which is very impressive. It's very cool. They're very large, and they shouldn't really be too mold liney because they've been recessed right back. So if this is where the two halves of the mold meet, you can see the wings basically sit atop the thing, and same for this piece here actually, and this piece kind of crosses between the two. So if there is going to be mold lines on here, they should be fairly minimal, and they'll be in slightly weird places. So they'll be, for example, around here on the knuckle of the wing, and you should maybe see one sort of around here, but just be on the hunt for them, because if they're going to be there, they're going to be in slightly weird places, especially on a sprue like this where everything's kind of set either side of the sprue in order to kind of prevent too much cleanup by the looks of things, which is pretty cool. And actually, even though these sort of merged with the other sprue, we're getting quite nice points on all of these talons as well, which is, well, it's really impressive. It's really nice to see, and everything looks to be intact too, despite having to pull them apart, which is really cool. Otherwise, look, I mean, it's a large monster, so there's going to be lots of connection points in lots of areas. We look at this body, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 connection points in total on just that section alone, which might glue in with this one. I'm not entirely sure on that regard, but if there's that seaming that's going on, for example, you can actually see right there on this component just at the top, there's a very small mold line just there. So that's what I mean about a slightly weird one. It's not where it's in line with the sprue gates, just there. So yeah, I mean, it'll all make sense as you're building it. But there we go. It's a pretty cool sprue though. I mean, look, there's not that many components on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe 15 if I'm not kind of spotting one. So that's impressive. It's not too compact as well, which should make building it kind of feel a little bit easier, because it's not like a really congested sprue, this one, in terms of getting around it and getting the pieces off that you need. Now, that being said, the one thing I will say about all of these components is, because they are large, because they are organic in nature, you do want to be really careful with your knife or mold line remover. If you squeeze the two pieces together as like a dry fit and then smooth it down, like I said, that will help with any gaps, but you do have to be really careful and not kind of apply too much pressure, because you kind of get that kind of mismatched kind of gouging that happens when you're gluing something together that is essentially a cylindrical object with two halves, basically, is what these are, with all the twists and turns thereabouts. So this is a really cool sprue. It's nice. You're just going to have to move all of these pieces in 2D, in that 2D plane like this, to make sure you get all of those extra bits of flash off, because again, sometimes a piece might not go together properly, and it is because you haven't got all of the sprue off it, so you just need to get in there and clean it down a little bit more. But otherwise, sprue number 1 for Fulgrim, looking pretty good. I'm really impressed with those wings. I think they look spectacular. So here is sprue number 2, which is, well, it's considerably more congested. I'm not even going to try and count how many components there are present on this one, but as you can see, there are quite a lot of them. Again, a lot of it is very snake body orientated. For example, this piece here, this piece, this piece, this piece, this piece, this piece, and this piece. Sorry, I punched the microphone. This piece as well. There's lots of well, there's lots present here, basically. And again, it's going to be the same thing as we talked about on the other sprue. Just be careful around all of these pieces. They are in bits of halves and this, that, and the other. Just move it again in the 2D plane. Make sure you're getting all of that flash off and you're getting it nice and smooth down with your knife or mold line remover, but don't apply too much pressure as you're going. That being said, we do have a couple of very, very, very cool looking pieces here. We have both of Fulgrim's blades here. Neither of them are connected on cutting edges of blades, which is great. Fantastic. Love to see it, because that would be even more annoying on a kit of this size if that was the case. We also have the lash here, which is, they've done their best, but as you can see, we're connected here on the soft tissue of his arm, and now here on the kind of the actual, well, the barbed tip of the lash whip. But we do have a connection point right in there, in between the coils of the lash here, and this one is here on kind of, I guess you'd call that the hilt of the lash, maybe something like that. You can see this one here just there. It's very congested. It's going to be quite tricky to get that smoothed down, so be careful around there so as not to accidentally clip off the actual detail of the lash itself. Otherwise, we've got all 5 heads, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. They're all connected on the, well, Fulgrim's left, our right hand side of the chin. Just a single connection point on each of these, which is great. So pick your poison, whichever one's your favorite, use it. It shouldn't be too difficult to smooth them out because of that one single connection point. It's not like it's connected 3 or 4 times or 2 or 3 times on a single face, which might be why you end up not using that particular face. That's not the reason why I choose to do things a certain way, is it? I promise, I swear. We have the, well, this is one of those sub-assembly bits, the large Emperor's Children wing, which will go on his torso, and that's a really, really cool piece. It's just nicely machined to a lovely curve there. And this sprue is flat. It's not warped by the looks of things, which is very, very impressive, given as the other one does have a bit of warping. Yeah, I mean, look, everything's in a pretty good shape. It's not too small either. We do have this one here is probably the smallest bit on this sprue. We do have a hand, and we do have, well, looks like a greave or something that will plug into one of the other arms. Not this one, not this one, not that one. Okay, who knows? Maybe this one just here. Either way, the pieces all feel like a decent size. It looks like the model's going to be massive, given that it's on that really large round base, and it's connected pretty well. I mean, despite, like, for example, this piece here where we're connected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, where they've been able to get away with not connecting it that many times, they have done so. For example, the shoulders here and here, or even the torso and this arm here, these kind of bits of I guess they're probably wing armor or something, I'm not sure. The heads are another great example. The sword here connected just twice, once and twice. Here, 1, 2, that kind of thing. There's more of the kind of armor and stuff of Fulgrim connected around the outside of the model. And I'm quite impressed with this one. It doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a pain to put together, but of course I've been wrong before. I've built Morathi, I know what I've got myself into. Although, Morathi's wings do not come in a single piece each, so this one's going to be really interesting. Alright, I think this will easily take over an hour, but maybe it will be one of the easiest of the Primarchs to paint. Not paint. Well, maybe paint. Who knows? I haven't got there yet. Got to build it first, which we're going to do, starting now. So of course I've already given the game away on one of the miniatures, and I bet you're all asking yourselves, did he manage to paint all of those miniatures well? The answer this time round is emphatically yes. Here we have the flawless blades. I went for the greatswords, as I think I already alluded to, and yeah, I think they look absolutely fantastic. I'm a particular fan of how I've done those blades, so I can't wait to show you that. Like I said, as always, there is a painting tutorial coming on these guys, just purely for the blades, really. And those skin recipes as well. I was really pleased with that. Next up, we have the Lord Kakophonist. Here it is in all of its glory. I really like this model. We did the kind of little blood streaking as well on the armor and stuff like that, which you can see on some of the box art. Just this is how you can get that effect, is essentially what this video will all be about, basically. You know, we've got to try and find some ways to put some new stuff into these videos. And then next up we of course have Lucius the Eternal, and I'm incredibly proud of how this one has come out. I think he looks incredible. I'm a particular fan of the skin, but also the lash and the various kind of pelts and stuff that he's got on. And the armor. I can't wait to show you the armor. Finally, of course, we have the daddy himself, Fulgrim, the Daemon Primarch of the Emperor's Children, all painted here, as per usual in our Contrast Plus style. And, well, I'm pretty triumphant here. I think it looks incredible. I'm really, really proud of how it's come out. And, yeah. I did actually manage it by the skin of my teeth for this self-imposed deadline. I'm not here this weekend, so I had to get it done. But yeah, all 4 kits, all done. And, well, honestly, I think once they're painted, they look incredible, even if I do say so myself. And actually, of all of the main sort of characters that aren't Primarchs, I do think Lucius is probably my favourite of the 4 now. I just think the model's fantastic. I think it's very, very, very different, you know. And, you know, there's just lots of little nods around it to some cool design elements. There's all the faces poking through the armour. The fact that the whip is coming out of his arm is cool. He's just holding a really long tongue, basically. I think that's excellent. And the weapon, despite having that cutting edge connection point, it's a very, very fine, slender weapon, and it does make for a very, very interesting looking model, and it's very, very, very elegant and also gross. The Cacophonist is pretty cool too. I like that there's that dual pistol option, or the pistol and the sword option, and indeed the combat option as well in the book as well. And the Flawless Blades actually really did live up to the hype, as it were. I think that kit's very, very, very good. I think it's very comprehensive, it's very, very customizable, and there's a lot of options that are available to you when putting it together, essentially. You can have a lot of fun with it, I think, having 3 or 4 or possibly even 6 boxes, because that's the most amount you can have in an army these days, 18 being the number. You would have a lot of different stuff to play with, I think. There's enough stuff in that box, and the way that these models are put together, rather than being kind of all part locked or section locked or whatever, they are, well, very customizable, basically, and I think that's a really real positive, and it continues the theme of the Emperor's Children army set, in that was a very classic builder's set, as it were. The Tormentors and the Infractors in particular built just like an old classic Space Marines kit, and these are kind of no different in some regards. And that for me I think is just a net positive overall. And, well, I'm glad it sticks the landing in that regard. So, sprue wise, let's talk about it, because we'll talk all about Fulgrim in just a minute. Don't worry. Keep leaving him till last. He'd hate that. So I think the Flawless Blades sprue generally is an excellent set of sprues, and the miniatures, as I've already discussed, I think there's a lot there, and for the really talented builders out there, I think it's even easier to put stuff together with them. So on that basis alone, I think it's an excellent kit. The Lord Kakophonist is pretty good. It's okay. It's, you know, it's a character. You're never going to build more than 3 of them, I would imagine. So if you're going to build 3 of them, then fine. There's probably enough there that you would be able to have 3 slightly different looking ones, which is, again, pretty cool. It's the same for the Lord Exultant, actually. Rather than it kind of being quite a generic sculpt where everything's part locked and it's only just really a head swap, they seem to have quite thought about it. I was trying to think of a different word there that would make sense, but quite thought about it kind of makes sense, I guess. I hope you're still with me. So overall, for those 2, the generic options, pretty good. But then we get into the named options, the epic heroes. And sprue-wise, whilst the model is breathtaking, and I love it, and I've already expounded the virtues of him, the Lucius sprue is not very good. There's a thing, like, you can go through and have sort of slight issues now, I think, with all 4. In terms of, like, Typhus, the Typhus model is Well, it's quite busy. The Destroyer Hive on the back makes things very complicated to paint if you don't leave it off, which I regularly don't. The old Khan model, he's a bit small, a bit tired now. The Araman model could do with being a lot busier. It's kind of like on the cusp of this sort of design revolution, I guess, that's kind of happened at Games Workshop, where the models have just gotten better and better. And whilst there's nothing wrong with them, it's just like it sits in that slightly weird place, especially Khan. You know, it sits in that place where he was the first of the Chaos characters to return, and it was fantastic to have a new plastic kit. And now you look on it sort of, I guess, 8-9 years later. Is it really as much as that? But you look on it all these years later and you think, he needs a bit of love already. And naturally Lucius was exactly the same. The old Lucius the Eternal model needed an update, of course it did. And you got this absolutely breathtaking rendition of him. But the kit feels incredibly over-engineered, and the way stuff is put together on the sprue makes it a challenging build. There's just a lot going on with him, and the placement of some of those sprue gates, I think they're called, is just non-ideal. They're not great, and it's just a tricky one to build. I mean, it took me almost an hour. So for a character model of that size, it shouldn't be taking that long to build. And finally we come to the Primarch himself, Fulgrim. Now, I wasn't sure about Fulgrim when I first saw him previewed, honestly. I thought that the early pictures of him that first surfaced, they're all taken from the kind of top-down angle that I'm actually looking at it on my desk right now at, and to me it's not as cool at that angle. It's not like the Angron model or the Mortarion model, where it's very like this, you know, it's up and proud and all of the detail is on display and the model looks fantastic. And I say, you know, Angron's a bit on display, and he is hunched over, I understand that, but he does, when you look down at him, for example, you see his face looking out and all this kind of thing. You can see the blades and this, that and the other, and he looks like he's ready to pounce forward. Magnus is very similar. Again, Magnus is very, you know, just like, here is my chest, behold, my stuff. And those models act as these great centerpieces for the army. They really draw the eye by virtue of their size, but also their posing just means they're very, you know, they're very out and proud. Whereas Fulgrim isn't. He's very hunched over. It's all this kind of, I mean, it's snake-like in that regard, but he is looking down. So really the perspective to view Fulgrim at is to sort of look at it not like this, but to actually look at it like that. Look up at it. And that's where the beauty of it is. That's where it looks great. It looks like a proper eldritch horror, and it's where it looks fantastic. And I realise that this is kind of splitting hairs, but my point is this, is that whilst the Primarch itself and the model itself looks fantastic from the right angle, and that's where it then finally made sense to me, it's well, it's a beautiful model once it finally makes sense. I feel like it's a bit Marmite at times for some people, which is interesting because it's a Primarch model. And I realise we've been through this before with Angron. A lot of people didn't like it at first. Now a lot of people do like it. And I'm sure this one will grow on me even more. But ultimately, is it the rendition of Fulgrim I would have made? It's pretty much there. I just would have had it a little bit more upright, a little bit more prideful, as it were. Kind of like the Forge World version. Now when it comes to painting Fulgrim, you don't need to sub-assemble it, but in retrospect I probably should have left at least the head off. That's the only thing I would have left off, but yeah. It's very open, like you can get round the model. It's not really an issue in that regard, which in some ways makes it easier to paint than some of the others. Like, whilst Magnus is all, you know, again, chest out, wings asplay, arms askew, there's all this stuff like in and around, like kind of his midriff, which is really hard to get at. So there we go. Anyway, enough about that kind of stuff. What about the sprues? The sprues are in pretty good nick. However, I think, like Lucius, the kit at times feels a little bit over-engineered. There's a lot of parts to put together the body, like a lot of parts, and I think that is a issue with the kit because there isn't any kind of tactical rock or anything like that. So the stability of the model comes from having lots of components, and the posing of it, because there's no like the Marathi model, which is all curled around that big pillar, it does mean that he's a little bit over-engineered at times is how it feels. So that massively slows down the building process of it anyway, and the pieces are in pretty good nick. It's just, like I said, it's putting it together is a bit of a chore because of how much there is to do, and because everything's like an organic shape, particularly on the body, because everything's an organic texture, it means that there's all these kind of smooth muscle groups and lumps and bumps that are in the model that as you're kind of trying to take the mold lines off, you end up accidentally kind of feeling like your knife or mold line remover is a bit kind of just like juddering on it. Not in the sense of like it judders when you apply too much pressure, but it's kind of just doing that as you're going along. And you're realizing that that's actually detail. It's not an imperfection with the sculpt or anything like that. And it also means that when you have two pieces that go together like this, it means that there's that detail continues across the two pieces. So it becomes quite hard to actually, fill the gaps. And I did a reasonable job, but I don't think I did the best job. But then, I don't like building at the end of the day. So ultimately it's painted and I think it looks fantastic. Could it be better? Could it be a little bit more simplified? Maybe, but I don't know. I'm not a sprue expert. I'm just a sprue reviewer. The worst kind. So overall, does the Emperor's Children Wave 2 actually stick the landing? For the most part, I guess it does. Flawless blades, which you're going to build a lot of if you like them. They're great. Cacophonist, again, 3 of them, absolutely fantastic. Lucius, you'll only build 1. Fulgrim, you'll only build 1. So ultimately, yeah, I'd say it probably sticks the landing. Are the sprues up to the same level as the Emperor's Children army set? I would say probably not quite, just by virtue of the trickiness of Lucius and Fulgrim. But is that a reason to mark them down too strongly? I don't know. But I think the final Land Raider scale rating I shall be giving Wave 2 of the Emperor's Children, and thus the whole range, kind of rounding it out, is to give the whole thing a 7.5 out of 10. Because I think there's real highs when it comes to the Flawless Blades, but the Lucius model is a pain to put together, so it brings the score right down, and it kind of nestles somewhere in the middle, which feels like a nice average for the sprues. And like I said, these reviews are a comment on the sprues, not on the models themselves, although sometimes the models themselves do crop up naturally if you have an affinity for it. But yeah, I just think, like, building wise, mechanics of it wise, product wise, 7.5 out of 10 feels appropriate for the whole set of 4, and as a consequence, the rest of the range. It's a pretty good solid range of models and a lot of fun to paint. So yeah, that's kind of it. That's all the final thoughts. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon for yet another sprue review, I'm sure. Have a great week, everyone. Let me know. Are you excited for Fulgrim? You probably should be. You probably are.
If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.